Good morning, guys, and welcome to our training, our annual training on bullying in our district. This is a little sheet that you guys should have picked up on your way in. I want you to go ahead and pair up with someone. I'm going to give you 2 to 3 minutes because we only have 15 minutes for our session today. So go ahead and fill this out, and then as soon as you're done, just set it to the side for now, and then we'll come back to it at the very end and go over the answers. All right. It's been a couple minutes, so you're good to go. I want to show you before we get going on our PowerPoint, definitely show you how to, okay, so the four components of bullying are going to be involving aggressive behavior. There's an imbalance of power, intimidation of a person. Let's see. The imbalance of power is a big one. So you definitely want to make sure that you are watching out for that. You know, you will have, especially like in a Mean Girls group, you will have one main girl that kind of, is the ringleader, if you will, and there's an imbalance of power there. Like they are picking on someone that they feel like is weaker than them. It may be a special ed student, it may be a 504 student. Like I mentioned before, though, our kids are really good. We have, special programs here at our school with our Step Beyond students, our special needs students. So our kiddos don't really mess with them. They do really good with that. You are going to see a lot of the gay and lesbian, transgender bullying. You're going to see some there'll be some racial bullying. We had some last year, a little bit, so definitely need to look out for that. So bullying versus conflict. So you can see on the left-hand side what falls under bullying, and the right-hand side what falls under conflict. Aggression is one-sided with bullying, whereas with conflict, both sides are aggressive. So when we see a fight break out or two girls arguing, that's not bullying, that's conflict. And they don't know how to handle it, and so they end up they fight. Bullying, there's really no disagreement. It's just one person's just constantly wearing somebody else out, whether it be on cyber, social media, or here at school. There's also a disagreement with conflict. There's usually a disagreement, and we all know here at high school that it's usually over a boy or a girl. Somebody did something to somebody, that type of thing. I mentioned the imbalance of power with conflict. There's no obvious imbalance of power. With bullying, there's also one side enjoys interaction. That bully, for whatever reason, likes, that power that they have over someone else. What you guys need to understand, too, is that the bully they're not necessarily from a great background either. Like they may have some things going on at home. There's a reason that they're acting the way that they are. So it's definitely a good idea to check in with the assistant principal or counselor to see, if we know of anything that's going on. And the bully, is not really angry at anybody, or at least not with that person. They may be angry at something, but not that person. And they're letting it out in a not, positive way. Whereas conflict, they're often angry and frustrated with each other. That's conflict, and that's kind of what we see. Harassment. Harassment, we definitely see that a little bit here. We had an incident probably about a few years ago where we had the varsity baseball team. We had some ninth graders make the varsity team, and so the older kiddos, older boys, thought that hazing would be okay, and obviously that's not okay in any way, shape, or form. So we definitely take care of that. So if you see, I'm going to send you guys this PowerPoint at the end of the day today once everyone's trainings are finished, because we have about 15 minutes in this training, in this session, and then you guys need to go move on to your next session. So at the end of the day today, I'll send this out as well, and if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask. All right. So I am going to touch base on this, just examples of harassment with humiliating conduct, offensive jokes, name calling. I mentioned the racial things, skin color, accent, slurs, rumors, physical aggression or assault. Those are always examples of harassment, and harassment is a form of bullying, so it definitely needs to be addressed as soon as possible. All right, let's see. So, advice for you guys. All right, so some helpful adult advice for you guys. Try to make this a little bigger for you. I'm going to scroll to this frame, the adult actions. I really felt like least helpful, most helpful. Least helpful, guys, if a student comes to you and says, I'm being bullied or someone's harassing me, you need to remember that, bullying is kind of the go-to term these days. And so knowing and learning what the definition is and going through this training, I really feel like will help with that. Because a lot of times, just being shoved in the hallway or being called stupid one time, that's not bullying. It's just people being, mean, or, our hallways are really crowded. So we can't really do a whole lot about that. Least helpful, most helpful. Least helpful, don't tell them that they're tattling. Don't call them a tattletale. Don't tell them to solve the problem themselves. Try to give them advice if you can. Listen to them. That's the best thing for sure, is trying to listen to them. Don't tell them, well, if you would have acted differently, or if you would quit, being so obnoxious and annoying, then maybe the bully wouldn't be doing these things. Don't tell them that stuff. That's not helpful to them at all whatsoever. So if you have any questions on how to talk to a kiddo when they approach you with that information, definitely come see an AP or counselor, and we'll try to help you. Definitely, probably one of the worst things you can do is just ignore it and pretend like it's not happening, or just chalk it up to, oh, boys will be boys, or, they're just kids, they're just goofing around. A lot of times we think that, but that is so much different with those students and what they're feeling and what they're all about the here and now, and it's not okay. So, let's see. These are students that we feel that are at risk of being bullied. I'll put this down a little bit so maybe you guys can see. I'm having a hard time with this technology these days. But students at risk of being bullied, children perceived as being weak or unable to defend themselves, anybody who's depressed, any noticeable physical differences of someone else. Somebody will say something, and it's one thing if they say something one time and then it stops, but if it keeps going, that's when it turns into the bullying, and we have a bigger issue at hand. We have our lesbian, gay group here, when I say group, I don't mean like just the group of kids. Like, we have a club for these students, and they're very close, and there are students that aren't gay or lesbians that are in this club that are just supportive. They're friends, and so those kids a lot of times will be picked on. We have seen them be picked on, so that's definitely something you need to look out for. Like I mentioned before, we've had racial issues, a few, not a whole lot, but a few. Last year, we had a boy, make a comment to a kiddo, so that wasn't appropriate, and so we definitely need to look out for that as well. All right, I'm sorry about the phone ringing in the background. We're just going to ignore that. A lot of times too, like, this is a big one, especially with boys will be boys. Yes, boys will be boys, but to a point. We're not going to go in the lunch line and, spill food on someone because you just think they're a nerdy kid. Like, that's not boys will be boys. That's just being mean. A lot of times too, though, the kids that get bullied are often seen as annoying. Like, sometimes I've heard teachers say, well, if he would just quit, like I mentioned earlier, if he would just quit being so annoying, like, kids wouldn't pick on him. Well, maybe that kid doesn't think he's annoying, and we definitely don't need to call him annoying, for sure. So, we just need to be careful with, how we word things, for sure. Okay. Reflection forms are kind of this is the district PowerPoint, but the reflection forms are more for the elementary, so we're not going to go over that. Reporting versus tattling. This is a big one. The kids don't want to be known as a snitch. At the high school level anyway, that's what they call it, being a snitch. And we have definitely heard that for sure. Like, I don't want to be known as a snitch. So that's, something that they struggle with. But reporting, it can save a person's life. We haven't had any incidents here where a person thankfully has not taken his or her own life because of bullying, but we have heard about it in the media, and it does happen, and we can't pretend like it doesn't happen. So we need to do something, about it. So definitely, this will be an activity that we talk about in Roundup with the kiddos too, about reporting versus tattling, because there is a difference. You know, we all kind of know what tattling is, so reporting is a little different. Process of reporting that we're going to talk over with the kids. Like I mentioned, we're going to talk about the difference in reporting and tattling. We're going to go over some different kinds of scenarios, so the kiddos might, you know, it might get them thinking like, oh, hey, like maybe I was being bullied, you know. A classroom teacher definitely can come report. We have an anonymous reporting link on our website, and there's also an anonymous hotline that you can call up to our school, and it just goes into a basic school voicemail, and one assistant principal is assigned to checking that voicemail every day, and they don't have to give any names. There's no caller ID, so we don't know who it was that called. So that's definitely a way to do that too. Also go to the AP or counselor always. We can definitely help with that situation as well. Never, ever, guys, meet with the bully and the kid that's bullying or getting bullied by yourself with them. That is not, we definitely don't recommend doing that. If that does need to be done, an assistant principal or a counselor will do that. But at the moment, that just makes it worse. I know that you think that you're helping, but it really ends up not helping. So just try not to do that. It can cause more harm than good, so we don't want to do that. All right, so we will follow up with all the meetings. Let's see. Okay, how to report bullying in OnCourse. This is kind of what I was showing you guys, the steps anyway at the very beginning. So I will get with you on that and also show you, email that to you so you know the steps and you can have a visual. I'm a visual learner, so I know having it in front of me helps. But instead of keeping tally marks, you're going to record each bullying incident that you see in OnCourse, whether it be level 1. So you don't have to keep up with how many level 1s that you have like we used to do. As soon as you see something happen, like a level 1, you know, I don't know, somebody messes with somebody in line or in the hallway, or, you know, somebody calls somebody stupid or whatever, and they're not, you know, you can tell that there's an imbalance of power there, that it is bullying and not just being goofy teenagers. Definitely report that in OnCourse, and the assistant principals will keep up with how many that they have. Let's see, you're going to log into OnCourse and just make an incident report like I showed you earlier, and it'll follow the prompts, will take you all the way through. So you will, it's really easy on how to report, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time. I know you guys are so swamped anyway, but we definitely, if we don't have it on file and it's been happening, then we can't do anything about it. So we definitely need y'all's help in that for sure. All right. So this is kind of the end of our program. I want to go ahead and get the form out, and we'll go over it real quickly, and then you guys will be dismissed. I have left about 2 minutes for questions. Left about 2 minutes for questions, and then you guys are going on to the next session in the gymnasium that is supposed to be, I think it's a little fun breakout session, get to know you type game. So I will answer any more questions that you guys have, and I appreciate you guys listening.